Hello, everyone. Chad Owen, the Annuity Sales Coach, owner of Retirement Realized Agents Academy and Retirement Realized Financial. Welcome to today's podcast. As you know, this is our second time we're actually doing a little bit different of a format. We'll continue doing this on and on, but I'd highly encourage you to be sure and submit some questions because there are a lot of questions. People are part of the academy that I'll actually answer and address during our monthly webinars. But there's some that I go, wow, you know what? There's a lot of people asking that question, and I'll create an entire podcast off of that question and answer. So be sure and submit some questions, whether it's, wow, holy cow. See, even the best at talking still get tongue-tied. It's okay.
I haven't started talking yet.
Well, I'll tie your tongue. I'll pin it to your lip of your...
Oh my gosh.
So, see, this isn't the best of me, okay? Which is kind of what we're talking about today. So see, you just set me up to fail. Way to go. Anyway, okay, go ahead. So what do you got for me?
So we're going to talk about the industry. Obviously, there's a bunch of different things agents can do to have success. And really, there's a lot of things that should be in place to really expedite the success and then make sure it's sustainable. But what I want to talk about a little bit is, how do I not fail? What are some things that I can do that can prevent that?
You don't wear shirts like that.
Don't wear flannels.
It's like, we're in Texas and he's wearing a flannel long sleeve. What's going on?
Trying to embrace the fall. I'm thinking if I wear this enough, maybe the fall weather will come.
Yeah. I mean, what I found in this industry when I got started, it was really tough because I didn't have a lot of mentors. I mean, literally, I was on my own. Yeah. Now, there was a point to where I would think I was about 3 years into it, maybe, and then I ended up picking up some incredible mentors, just people that had been in the business for a long time. But man, when I was cutting my teeth, when I was in the life insurance part of it, it was a mind-boggling how many life insurance people tried to sell annuities, and they had no business talking about life insurance, let alone annuities. So it's surround yourself with people that really want to help and experts. I tell my kids this all the time, and anybody I mentor, I always say, never listen to someone's opinion unless they're where you want to be in life.
That's good.
If you have someone that says, hey, you need to be financially fiscal, yet their life is a mess. I mean, we say that all the time in our industry. You got people that are literally been doing this for a long time, 10, 20 years, but they're broke all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like they're not going to retire, yet they're in the retirement industry. Now, I get things happen where it's just blindsided. Financial things happen out of your control. But you know what? You got to dig out of stuff like that. And if you're going to be successful in this industry, I have that handout that I do to my agents that are in the academy that talk about, what is it? Oh, it's about how many, 25 reasons why...
25 reasons why agents fail.
Yeah, why 92% of agents fail in the first 2 years, I believe it is. Yeah. And it's a statistical fact. I mean, it's unbelievable how many people I talk to, and then you talk to them 2 or 3 years later, just reaching back out, oh yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. Right. And so it's consistency. We talked about in the previous podcast is consistency, but it's also just being an absorbent sponge for information.
That's good. And
constantly staying on top of products, new products. I mean, when I got started in this industry, there were no income riders. It was just straight indexed annuity. No age comment.
So, you're aging yourself there.
Yeah, I am. Okay. But, it's a reality. They're just straight indexed annuities.
Right.
Then I think around 2005, they came out with the income riders. That was revolutionary to our industry. But still to this day, there's a ton of agents that won't do income riders because they haven't taken the time to study about the benefit of income riders. So, wait a second. That was we're almost 16 years ago.
Right.
We came out with those, and now people still aren't doing it because they didn't take the time to study. When in all honesty, I would believe 100% one of the major reasons why I do the business I do is because I help people solve the problem of guaranteed income.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. I wrote something down the other day. It came to mind. I actually got to do a little podcast where I talked about this briefly, but basically this idea of the success mindset and how that goes into play in every aspect and part of the process. But what I wrote down was, if you think you can't, you won't. If you think you can, you might. If you think you can and you work hard, you probably will. And this idea of, man, you've got to have the mindset, right? That mindset in place of, man, I'm going to accomplish this, but you've got to have the work ethic behind it to get it done. Put rubber on the road.
I apologize. I don't mean to act so surprised when you say something wise. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Feel free to write that one down.
I'll tattoo it on the inside of my arm. We'll do that.
And we've talked about the why, the why behind the what, really the driving force, the purpose behind it. How important is the why for you, Chad? And then two, when things get challenging and when things are kind of slow, how does the why keep you going forward?
Well, man, everything's about the why. I've heard the rah-rah speakers say it's about the what and it's about the how. I'm like, going, what do you mean the what and the how? It's the why. You know, the what do you want? Well, I want to be rich. No, that's not a reason. Well, I want to buy the car. No, that's not either. The why, if you have that as your why, you are not going to last in this industry, or you're going to end up in jail. One of the two. So, I mean, because I've seen people in this industry driven by the money behind it, and not one of them has ever lasted a long time.
Wow.
And I have seen some put in jail because they start to go, you know what, man, I could buy this car, I could do that, and not once do they think about what they're actually doing to the client. And that's just so wrong and so messed up. Because you're not the one that spent 20, 30 years saving this retirement.
That's right.
And they're the ones that pay the consequences. I use this saying all the time. And my brother was the first one I heard say this, but he said, whether you make a mistake on accident or on purpose, the result's the same to the client. You know, if you intentionally mess someone over, yeah, that's more messed up in your heart. But if you accidentally mess up, you're still messing your client.
Yeah.
You're still messing with a retirement situation. So that's where the studying comes into play. But the reality is, the why is, why do we do this? My why is 100%, whether I'm helping agents or I'm helping clients or whether I'm helping anybody. It's, can they do better than I am where I was? You know, I made a comment the other day, and it was hard to get out, but I said, you're where I would have wanted to be at that age.
Thanks.
So, you know, you're 16 now, just barely 17. So that's, I hear that all the time from my agents. They go, God, how young is that guy? Well, he's actually been married to my daughter for over 3 years.
Yeah.
And they did get married at 13, but no. So, but it's true. I look at where you are now and I'm go, where are you going to be when you're my age? You know, if you can live that long.
Yeah, if I can get to the point of withdrawing on my annuities.
No, grandkids will make you live a long time. That's it. But, you know, I really honestly look at that and I go, I want everybody I meet with and go to do better than I was at any given age. I don't want people to struggle through the annuity business like I did and not have people help me and not want to share their little secrets. I mean, one of my mentors always used to say dirty little secrets about this, dirty little secrets about that. And he would literally share every little secret about the industry because he still to this day wants one thing. He wants you to do well.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's what I followed. And most of you guys might know him. His name is Bill Broach. He owns Annuity.com. And it's just, and it doesn't matter what marketing organization you're with, everybody knows who he is. And he just genuinely cares about the success of not only you as a person, but this industry. I mean, he has poured so much time with no pay, no contracts. He just is a vlogger. He puts out information, but he's been like that ever since, I think it's 2007, I think is when we first met. So you could see, I mean, the 3 years before that, I did all right. I mean, I did a lot of life insurance. But man, once I really started to dig into this, and I met someone now, you know, there are some things I have to say. I met some really good, some of these old timers in the FMOs, IMOs that have been in this industry a long time, if you really get to talk to them, the ones that have been around a long time, they genuinely care about the industry.
Yeah.
They just really pour. So their why is to make sure they help other people. And I love seeing that. I mean, you see the flash in the pans, IMOs come out, you all know who they are, or they have a reputation of, the big rah-rah, the cookie cutter, they just want your contracts. But man, the people that really care about the business, they're living their why.
That's true.
Their why is what keeps you going when everything gets tough. Why do I do this? I want to help people. I don't feel like it. Doesn't matter. Your why overrides everything else.
Yeah, the why, and then I think too we can talk about just sheer willpower and not being willing to give up. I mean, if you're set on making it work, you believe you can, and you put action to it. I mean, by golly, you ought to be able to do it. Now I know that there's agents. You really like
speak in English, please.
By golly.
By golly.
I mean, there's obviously.
See, this is why we did this format. This is a lot more fun.
A lot more laughs.
Okay. I'm not used to Texanese. I'm getting used. I've been here for 8 years now, but okay,
that's
go
all right.
ahead.
Well,
So,
you hang around
in
long
English,
enough, we'll get you trained up.
Say it again.
Yeah, by golly. But there are. Just like in anything, there are people who are naturally just better fits in it. And there's no two ways around it. There are going to be people that naturally they just fit right into this industry, and others that have to work a little bit harder.
Yeah, but even all the ones that are successful have a rooted why.
And that's the key.
That is. You may not be the best at communicating with people, but if they see, wow, this person's really driven to help me, oh, absolutely. They'll do very well.
Yeah,
They'll
that's
do very
good.
well.
And I know a story, you've shared with me a story before about a pretty wild story that involved a sailboat and a trip from Washington to a little island called Hawaii.
Maui?
Oh yeah, I guess Maui is the island.
Island's
Hawaii
the
is the state.
Texas education.
Yeah,
no, I'm totally joking. Totally joking.
Hey, we have our own history class.
No, I know you do. So does Hawaii. It's so funny because I went to school, it was 7th, 8th grade, and then all high school and a little bit of college in Hawaii. And I know a ton about Hawaiian history. They did not teach that much about world history or American history. And I'm like, wow. So I had to really study on that. But yeah, my dad was a successful business person, and then just through some weird circumstances had to close everything down. Ended up selling his plane, buying a boat. And he said, we want to live on Maui. So because of his vast experience of sailing in a river, he thought we could cross an ocean. So I'm like, God, we found every sandbar in that river. But yeah, we can cross the ocean. Why? No sandbars. We got it. We're good. But it was, we were putting the fire right away in the water, because we were a day out and we got caught in a hurricane. And we had 40-foot seas, 80-knot winds. We got knocked down where the mast went into the water. The boat was flipped on its side. It popped back up. We broke 3 out of 4 sails. Our main engine was gone. Our only engine was gone. We literally were called the Coast Guard, and the Coast Guard says, we're not coming out to get you. That weather's too bad. So we were on our own like a bobber in the middle of the ocean, going 12 knots, which the haul speed was 10 knots, which simply if you exceed the haul speed in a sailboat, you'll do a pitch pull. But because we were surfing so much on the waves, we had one little sail, but it was double reefed, which means it was taken down to its smallest capacity. We were going 12 knots, and it's because the wind was so strong. But finally, I think we were in that storm for 2 days, and then the Coast Guard finally came and towed us back in. And you know what? Most people at that time would go, yeah, almost killed me and my whole family, but we're not going to do this again. What does he do? Gets us back on the boat, we go back out. And that taught me, because you know what? I love traveling. And the reality is, there's a lot of times I've traveled to beautiful destinations that have turbulence along the way. It doesn't change the fact you're going to paradise. If I'm flying to Hawaii, that's paradise to me. But just because you have turbulence on the way doesn't mean you turn around. Now, we've been in really some turbulence. Well, I wanted to go and knock on the door and go, hey, guys, can we put the shocks on that? Let's figure this out here. But, it doesn't change. You don't turn around. You continue to move forward. Good. Why? You have the destination of where you want to go. So it doesn't matter what turbulence you hit along the way. But to tell you what, I mean, that's still to this day probably one of the top 10. Wait, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 kids, married. Okay, yeah, that's in the top 10 best experiences of my life. You got 10 kids, yeah, top 10. Which one's out? You take a pick.
Yeah,
no, but it's a top 10, and it was so phenomenal because after we went through that hurricane, we used to run into squalls that had 20-foot seas, and it was nothing to us.
Right.
We're like, yeah, we saw 40-foot seas. We had an 80-foot wave hit us from the side. What's a 20-foot wave? No big deal. So we already went through a storm in the beginning, where it's a lot easier. And I could also say,
Sure.
you know, I went through my storm in this industry. I went through $150,000 of credit card debt, having major medical issues in my family come up. I mean, catastrophic medical issues come up. And you know what? We went through that storm, and now other storms seem a lot smaller now.
That's true.
So you know what? You don't give up. You keep going.
That's really good, Chad. That's really good.
Yep.
Well, definitely hope this encourages them today. I think it will.
I hope it does. And as always, happy selling.